Hi Pisces, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your August 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as all we have in front of us, it's a 12-card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Pisces representing the first house, all the way through to Aquarius representing the 12th. And after that, we'll also pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Hermetic Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we have the Wisdom of the Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off our own those astrology ice in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have 4. So for you guys, 4th house energy is Gemini, and currently we have Uranus there, of course, and we have Mars there as well. Mars will be there until the 11th of August at least. But yeah, so in general, 4th house energy points to home roots and family. So you could be feeling the impact of those energies. Alright, next we have Taurus. So for you guys, Taurus is actually a 3rd house of communication, short journeys, and siblings. And as far as what's going on there astrologically, we have Chiron that got there recently, and on the 3rd of August, it'll actually start a retrograde. So, there could be some room for healing when it comes to communication. And we have Mars. So, yeah, like I mentioned, Mars is currently in Gemini, which is your 4th house, and then on the 11th, it'll be moving into your 5th house. So, we'll keep all that in mind as we move through the main spread. So, for your 1st house of personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the Queen of Swords. So, this is Libra energy here. So, yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe you could come across a bit more cutting and calculated with your way you deliver your communication this month, or just in general, right? Maybe just people get that energy from you when you walk into a room, right? Even if you don't specifically say anything. Now, of course, usually this energy, the Libra energy, is about balance and fairness, but of course, with the artwork from this deck in particular, right, maybe it goes a little bit more to the extreme side of things as far as that goes. But yeah, seeing this here to me says that you're just going to be a bit more decisive this month, right? And maybe if you normally would humor people if they were saying things that weren't necessarily true, I feel like you're going to be a little bit more quick to call them out this month. Alright, so for your 2nd house, pointing to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the 8 of Swords. So this is Gemini energy here, and yeah, this could just be saying that maybe when it comes to your finances this month, you're going to be a little bit more indecisive, feeling like you can't necessarily make big moves at this time, so you could just be thinking things over again and again, right? But not necessarily feeling like you're getting any closer to a decision with the times that you're thinking it through. But if that's the case, it could be one of those things that'll die down a little bit as we get a little bit further into August. I mean, we still technically have the Mercury retrograde post-shadow period that hasn't wrapped up just yet. We got about a little bit more than a week left of that. So it could just be one of those things where you just need to let that energy ride out a little more. And I mean, to be fair as well, in your 2nd house, we currently have Saturn in there and Neptune. They're both retrograde too, so that could be a play also. For your 3rd house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the 4 of Cups. So this is Cancerian energy here, and it's referred to as the Lord of Blended Pleasure. So yes, it could just be saying that when it comes to your communication, right, maybe you have some highs and lows. So could be with the same person, right, or with multiple people. One person, you have a conversation, you feel great, you feel elevated, you feel rejuvenated after it, and you talk to someone else and you feel drained afterward, right? But in any event, the only thing with the 4 of Cups is usually what makes the issue worse is that the person tends to not take a proactive approach to things, right? So if you're in those conversations that don't bring you much benefit or joy, it could just be one of those things where it's like, well, ultimately it might be up to you to distance yourself from that a little bit. And maybe that's where that Queen of Swords energy is coming into play this month, right? Where, like I said, maybe you're going to be a little bit more direct with people in those scenarios. So for your fourth house energy, which points to home roots and family, we have the Eight of Cups. So this is actually a Pisces energy here, so you could definitely be feeling this a little bit more, but this that gets referred to as the Lord of Abandoned Success. So I do have to say, between this and seeing that Eight of Swords in your second house energy, for some of you, maybe this is some kind of disappointment around your home environment, right? Maybe some of you considering moving. Um, or if you can't move, you're trying to figure out, well, how can you improve the space that you're in, right? But maybe you're feeling like it's hard to find the answers for those questions right now. For your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children, we have the Ten of Cups. So more Pisces energy here. And not only that, this is a more positive Pisces energy too. So you guys, at least in that area of life, it looks like things will be going very well for you. So for some of you, that can be around creativity, right? Maybe your creativity be flowing. And if you have creative projects you're trying to get off the ground, you got to have great momentum with that. But for others of you, this is around romance too, right? Maybe you have a romantic connection with someone that you feel like is gaining a lot of steam and momentum at this point. All right, so for your sixth house of health, work, and daily routines, we have the Two of Wands. So this is actually an Aries energy here. And, usually this is an energy of fresh starts too. So maybe that's part of what's at play, right? Maybe within your work lives, you might be starting something new. And partially because of that, right? Maybe you're like, oh, it'd be more convenient if to take this job on, if I could move closer to where I'm going to be, right? Things along those lines there. So it could all be tied in together. But if not, I feel like this is at least saying that within your work lives, you're going to feel like there's this fresh spark within the environment. Right, so for your seventh house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Three of Swords. So this is Libran energy here, to refer to as the Lord of Sorrow. So to me, this would say that if you're in a partnership that comes to an end, of course, there could be disappointments there, but I would say when it comes to new partnerships, I would say at least take your time when it comes to signing anything in particular, right? So romantic partnerships will be one thing. At least when it comes to more casual stuff, it looks like you have some good energy there. But I feel like more so in the financial sense, right? And maybe that's where you're feeling stuck with that Eight of Swords energy. Given that we do see this energy popping up in the seventh house, I feel like this is saying at the very least take a little bit more time to read things over before you sign any contracts this month. And actually, to go along with that, for the eighth house energy, which points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the Seven of Cups. So, especially if this is signing some kind of contracts around investments too, I would say be on the lookout. As we see, the name of the card in this deck is Lord of Illusionary Success. So, definitely something to watch out for there, right? Because what you're presented versus what you actually sign on the dotted line for could be quite a bit different. So, something to watch out for there. Outside of that, it doesn't have to be anything devastating if it's outside of the realm of contracts. It could just be one of those things where you might have had a lot of choices, right? And the more time you actually looked over those choices, you might have started to realize that none of them were really ideal anyway. All right, so for your ninth house energy, which points to higher learning, foreign affairs, philosophy, we have the Hanged Man. So for you guys, your ninth house is actually Scorpio, which right now is a little bit quiet as far as the astrological transits go, but at the very least, this has to be saying that you're really thinking things over, right? You're trying to be a little bit more strategic with how you operate, and that could be what that Queen of Swords energy is pointing to as well. But if that's the case, I feel like this is saying that you're not really ready to make moves just yet. So it feels like there's a feeling of knowing that you do soon, right? And that's the ultimate goal, but you just might feel like the timing isn't quite right just yet. For your 10th house of career and social status, we have the Sun. So this is actually, of course, a pretty positive energy to see here. Could just be saying that you might feel energized this month, and that could be part of what's going on there with the Queen of Swords energy, and like we said, the Two of Wands in the 6th house, which could point to work. So when it comes to your careers, you might actually feel like you're rejuvenated in some way. So that could also align with seeing this. So for some of you, maybe it is you have a fresh start in some way, around your careers. But either way, even if you're in the same environment, I feel like this is saying that you'll be perceived in a more positive sense this month too, which of course is a good thing. For your 11th house of your groups, hopes, wishes, and friendships, we have the Ace of Swords. So to me, this would say, especially if you do feel like you're a little bit blocked, right, and not seeing the situation clearly, to me, that would say that combining that with this energy says to me that the better thing for you to do would be to interact with your friends and your groups a little bit more, because that could actually be a moment that brings about an epiphany for you guys to where you do know more conclusively where you'd like to go next around the situation. But if not, that could just be saying that, yeah, with the free flowing of information, maybe you could bring that energy to someone else, right? So I don't feel like you would have been doing so consciously, but maybe just in you communicating with them, a light bulb goes off for them. But either way, it looks like the exchange of ideas is going to be very positive this month. All right, and for the 12th house, which points to mental health, spirituality, and blind spots, we have the Four of Wands. So this is actually an Aries energy here. And to see this here, I feel like this is saying that ultimately, I feel like beneath the surface, you know that things are going to turn out well, right? But again, it's just a matter of getting there. So I'd say putting those two things together, though, looks like it's overall positive, right? Where, like, even if you feel like, okay, things feel a little bit blocked off now, or like I can't make the move I want to make just yet, I feel like it's not causing you to lose faith around the situation where, like, okay, it is what it is. I know that eventually this will clear up and then I'll be able to move forward. All right, so from the bottom of the deck, in a similar vein, we have more Pisces energy, so could definitely be connecting with you guys well in that regard. But we have the Nine of Cups, so this one's referred to as the Lord of Material Happiness. So yeah, so if there are some financial worries, right, it looks like there's some positive indicators that could improve those things for you this month. And overall, to me, this points to a general energy of contentment too. So even if you are lacking a little bit, I feel like you won't necessarily let it bring you down. Again, like I said, probably tied back to what we were saying about you having faith that things will work out. All right, but lastly, we'll pull an oracle card and wrap up with that. So what I'm going to do is just give this a few shuffles, then I'll cut the deck and pull a card. Take this, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have 2 to see. There's the artwork, and the number is 7. So maybe this is trying to tell you to go on a brief vacation, right? If you feel like you can't make a decision just yet or things are blocked off, maybe that would be the reset you need, but we'll see what it says. All right, essential meanings says being in flow, returning to source, recognizing how pieces fit together, a natural pattern of events. The Oracle's message, isn't it wonderful when you feel yourself in the flow of life, when events and conditions seem to engage you in a way that is fluid and effortless? This card reminds you that going with the flow is exactly what you need to do right now. Ride the wave of opportunity formed by perfect conditions. Allow trust and faith to guide you forward as you flow like a river into the sea of life. So interesting, right? Reading the parts about trust and faith goes back to what I was saying with the 12th house. To me, that says that even if you do feel a little bit blocked off in the current moment, seems like you're not letting that shake your faith and ultimately the belief that things will turn out right in the long run. All right, the relationship message says there are points in a relationship when you have to decide to go with the flow rather than dictate the course you share with another. Can you let go of the need to have things your way and allow the relationship itself, your combined goals and desires, to steer the ship? Can you both transcend your personalities and allow the partnership to form its own identity, its own energy? Now is the time to relax and see where this mutual journey leads. So interesting message there, right? Because maybe this 3 of Swords in that regard is about releasing control a little bit, right? And embracing more of that 5th house energy of just, having a lot more joy and contentment around the situation and not putting as much pressure on a certain outcome to play out. The prosperity message says everything seems to work out when you stop scrambling and allow to see if opportunities to wash over you and wake you up to your most prosperous potential. To get into that flow, you need to address your beliefs about abundance and money. The true meaning of your personal currency lies in your skills, your talents and abilities, and most important, your core beliefs. Everything flows from your inner world and is reflected in the outer one. When grateful to serve, you align your prosperity consciousness with a higher consciousness, you can expect miracles. Everything you need will come to you easily. So that was an interesting one to read there. Just because it talked about, feelings about abundance and money. And for some of you, maybe that's what that Eight of Swords is referring to, right? Where maybe there were some ways where you might have been getting in your own way when it comes to that. But if that's the case, again, like I said, a lot of indicators here. It says that you will come out on the other side of that, and maybe there's even this part of you that knows deep down that even if you are in that energy, that okay, this is temporary. I'll get past it, and then things will be fine. But yeah, hope it ever is any of you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.